Hi, and welcome to One Life Matters, the podcast that reminds you that your life is worth living with purpose, joy, and authenticity. I'm Trish, a counsellor and life coach, and I'll be sharing down-to-earth conversations, insights, and tools to help you navigate the ups and downs of life. Whether you're healing from the past, finding your confidence, or simply wanting to feel more at peace with yourself, this is your space. Because you only get one life and it truly matters. Just before we get into this episode, I just want to mention that this podcast is for general information, insight, and reflection only. It's not a substitute for personal therapy, counselling, or medical advice. Today, we're talking about something that's wildly popular and widely misunderstood: the law of attraction. Now, even if you've never read or even heard of The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, I mean, honestly, where have you been hiding for the past 20 years? I'm guessing you've heard someone say, just think positive, or one of my favourites, you attract what you focus on. And maybe you've thought, yeah, that's great in theory, but what about real life when just repeating positive affirmations or practicing visualization doesn't magically make our dream life appear like an Amazon Prime delivery? So today, I want to unpack what the law of attraction really is, beyond the cliches and the glittery quotes and, well, basically all the bullshit, and talk about how to visualize in a way that actually supports your nervous system, your mind, and your real everyday life in the quest to move towards your goals and the life you really want to live. We'll look at what people usually misunderstand about it, the power of persuasion, how our focus genuinely changes what we experience, and how to use visualization safely and effectively without the pressure of pretending everything's perfect. So let's start with the common view and what most people think it is. Most people think the law of attraction is about sitting quietly, imagining what you want, and the universe somehow delivering it to your doorstep. Easy peasy. No, not quite. There's a bit more to it than that. Don't get me wrong, I mean, vision boards, affirmations, endless I am abundant mantras can be great tools when used wisely. But to be honest, I also think there's quite a bit of redundant wishful thinking going on here too. The truth is, just your thoughts alone won't bring you your dream partner, your ideal job, that pile of money, or just a happier life. But your persistent, specific, constant focus, that is your selective attention, will absolutely change what you notice and what gets filtered into your consciousness. And that's the bit I think most people miss. You see, your brain has a filtering system. It's called the reticular activating system, or simply put, the RAS. Its job is to take the billions of bits of information around you every second and decide what's worth noticing. And it does that based on what you tell it is important. That's why when you're thinking about getting a red car, for instance, you suddenly see red cars everywhere. They were always there, but now you've told your brain to pay attention. Think of your mind like a powerful spotlight. It doesn't care what you point it at. It just focuses on what you tell it to. So when you're constantly focused on the negatives, on what's missing, what you're worried about, or what's making you unhappy, your brain becomes an expert at finding problems. It develops a negative bias, and that's mainly what it shows you. But the moment you consciously redirect that focus, the game starts to change. When you focus on possibility, on finding solutions and taking a more positive outlook, guess what? The RAS begins to shift and automatically starts scanning for evidence that matches that new focus. A bit like changing what you're searching for on Google. It trains itself to become an expert at spotting opportunities. It stops reinforcing the misery and starts moving you, often subconsciously, down the path towards the life you're actively trying to manifest. However, as per usual, there is a caveat. If we've spent years being wired for worry, self-protection, or negativity, it can take a bit of time for that shift to take hold. You see, our nervous system loves familiarity, even if that familiarity doesn't feel good or is making us unhappy. So focusing on the positive might actually feel uncomfortable, unsafe, unrealistic, or even a bit fake at first. But stick with it, because with consistent practice, noticing small wins, pausing to reframe thoughts, being mindful of your inner dialogue, your brain begins to recalibrate. Over time, those new pathways strengthen and the RAS becomes attuned to seek out more of what aligns with that new mindset. And it's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about retraining your system to believe that good, positive changes are possible. Your results aren't based on what you wish for, but what your brain is trained to notice. That's the real secret. It's not cosmic magic. It's cognitive science. Now, I've just mentioned about being mindful of self-dialogue, so let's talk a bit about the power of persuasion. Not of others, but of ourselves. And this is something I focus a lot on in my sessions with clients. You know, I do tend to talk a lot about how our subconscious mind believes what it's repeatedly told through words, images, emotions, and actions, and it doesn't really know the difference between something real and something vividly imagined. That's why top athletes use visualization. They mentally rehearse their performance until their body knows it as truth. Their brain fires the same neurons as if they were actually running, jumping, or competing. When we imagine something with enough emotion and sensory detail, our brain starts wiring for it. It releases chemicals, it strengthens neural pathways, and basically says, this is what we're doing now. So the law of attraction, in a more grounded sense, is really what I like to call the law of focus persuasion. You're persuading your mind to believe in a version of yourself or your life that doesn't yet exist, so that you behave, choose, and respond as if it's already possible. That's when you start noticing things you didn't before. It's not that the universe suddenly hands them to you, it's that you become available and open to receive them. This kind of takes the mystical power out of the universe and turns it into the logical power of your mind. When I talk about visualization and manifestation, I'm not talking about vague wishes. I'm talking about constant, persistent, and detailed focus. Really detailed focus. The more vividly we imagine something, the sights, sounds, sensations, actions, even the emotions attached, the more our nervous system believes it's real. Richness and clarity gives the brain a clear set of instructions, which in time shapes our perceptions, our choices and behaviours to align with what we've been mentally rehearsing. It's not wishful thinking, it's directed neuroplasticity in action. How might you look in that reality? How would you move, speak? What would you wear? How would you feel? Take a minute and allow your mind to indulge. It's not about vanity, it's about powerful embodiment. When you imagine yourself already being that version of you, your brain starts wiring in the habits, posture, and confidence that match it. Bit by bit, you begin showing up in ways that align with that vision, and that's how it moves from imagination to reality. Look at this podcast, look at my practice. Neither of them happened by accident or wishful thinking. For years, I didn't just hope for a successful counselling and life coaching practice. I really focused in very clear detail the career I wanted. I lived in the feeling of it. I found the right course, I studied hard and qualified. I'd spend loads of time imagining my future consultation room in every detail possible, from the feel of my armchair to the specific shade of blue paint on the walls. I'd imagine the sunlight coming through the window, and I pictured myself sitting with clients, feeling the satisfaction of doing what I'm so deeply passionate about every day. I could see my One Life logo in meticulous detail on the window and front door and feel that pride of finally having a separate space to work from instead of having to work from home. I didn't know where my premises would be or quite when or how it would happen, but I never lost that vision or faith that it would. And when life shifted and certain events opened that door, I finally found myself in a position where the visualization could become real. Don't get me wrong, it wasn't a straight, effortless path. It took time and setbacks to find the right place. But I found it, and with my partner John's amazing support and countless hours of his incredible skilled work, seriously, this man's unreal, that dream took shape, and truthfully, it's turned out even better than I ever imagined. And this podcast, it started as a whisper of an idea, but through that focused persuasion, through consistency, persistency, and repetition, I manifested the technology. Well, actually, no, I have to be honest here. I'm the biggest tech phobe, so John takes care of that side of things. And I found the self-belief and confidence to show up here every other week. That's the magic of true manifestation. It's not about magic words. It's about making your dream so real in your mind, making it your continued detailed focus that your actions inevitably follow the blueprint. Now let's get honest about both sides of the story here, because like most tools, visualization and manifestation can be powerful or problematic, depending on how it's used. So on the plus side, it strengthens our self-belief, our self-esteem and confidence. It helps us emotionally align with what we want. It can keep our focus on possibility rather than fear. And it's a great antidote to that what if it all goes wrong thinking that our brains love so much, because better you gave it a go and tried rather than look back with regret because you didn't. But there are some pitfalls too. For some people, especially those who've been through trauma or devastating disappointment, visualizing the perfect life can actually trigger pain. It can highlight the life you want compared to the life you have in a way that feels hopeless. It can make the gap between where you are now and where you want to be feel unbearable. And when we use visualization to escape life instead of enhancing it, it can feel hollow, shameful, fake even, like we've truly failed and the life we dream of having will be forever out of our reach. And I just want to add caution too and clear up a popular myth that living your ideal life as if it's already happened is the best way to achieve it. Just be very careful here. I mean, for example, visualization is not the same as pretending you're already rich. I've seen clients rack up substantial debt because they thought acting like they already had the ideal life meant spending money they didn't have. That's a dangerous misunderstanding of the technique, so we have to be realistic and mindful of the here and now too. No, visualization is more about connecting to the feeling you want, the calm, the confidence, the love, the safety, and practicing that inner state so your mind and body recognizes it as familiar. That's how it becomes easier to spot, to accept, and maintain in real life. So, how do we do this in a way that's effective and emotionally safe? Well, think about grounding first. Settle your body. Take a few deep breaths, feel your feet on the floor, and remind yourself that you're safe in this moment. If your nervous system is on high alert, visualization can actually feel like pressure. And start small, just one solid focus at a time. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great fun letting your imagination run wild. But instead of imagining a castle in the countryside or that ridiculously fast and expensive sports car, start with something believable and achievable, such as focusing on feeling calm on a Monday morning or confidently speaking up in a meeting. The small wins build trust between your conscious and subconscious mind. And step 3, engage all your senses. What do you see, hear, smell? How does it feel to be there? Make it sensory, emotional and alive. You're giving your brain data to work with. Take aligned action. Visualization isn't a replacement for action, it's the rehearsal before the show. So like I've mentioned before, once you've pictured it, do one small thing that supports that vision. Send the email, make the call, tidy the space, say the thing. Each step tells your brain this is real now. And to me, this is the most important step of all. Focus on the feeling, not just the thing. Notice what happens to your emotional state. Do you feel secure, excited, loved, successful, calm, happy? Really, the goal isn't about the sports car or the mansion. It's the state, the feeling or emotion you believe those things will bring. So visualize peace, not possessions. Fulfillment, not followers. And connection, not control. So maybe the law of attraction isn't about commanding the universe to deliver what we want. Maybe it's about teaching our own minds what to look for, what to believe, and what to move towards. When we focus on what we don't want, we unintentionally attract it. When we focus on what we do want, even imperfectly, we begin to shift our energy, our attention, and our opportunities. It's less about demanding miracles and more about becoming magnetic to them. And perhaps the biggest secret of all is this. When you feel grateful, calm, and worthy, you start living in the energy of what you were chasing all along. And that's when life starts to meet you halfway. So if you're visualizing something right now, a happier relationship, a calmer mind, a new chapter, practice focus persuasion. See it clearly, feel it deeply, and then ask yourself, what's one small thing I can focus on today that moves me in that direction? Because that's the real magic behind turning your dreams into reality and living your best life. Thank you for joining me on One Life Matters. If today's episode spoke to you, I'd love you to subscribe and maybe share it with someone who might need it too. And remember, you only get one life, so make it one that truly matters. Until next time, take care of yourself.